Hi there, my name is Rebecca Cook and I am with Bella Pilates, and I'm going to show you in this video how to do a Pilates workout for bikers. So let's get started. Go ahead and lie down on a mat. And we're going to just start with some breath work and then move into some abdominal work. So go ahead and place your fingertips on the soft tissue between your rib cage and your pelvis. Take a deep inhale and exhale your air. And again, inhale and exhale. Go ahead and keep breathing. And as you inhale, I want you to feel like you fill up your lungs all the way around in a three-dimensional way. And then on the exhale, I want you to feel like that soft tissue all the way around in between your rib cage and your pelvis moves inward as if there's a tight band suctioning that in. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale. And again. Go ahead and keep breathing like that. And place your hands next to your side. On the next exhale, raise your leg up into a 90-degree position or tabletop. Inhale the leg down and exhale the opposite leg up into tabletop. Go ahead and repeat that. Little marching going on. And you want to get the sense that you're just floating this leg up, that it's really light, it weighs nothing, it's as light as a feather, and you are stabilizing all of that soft tissue, all of the bone structure is staying still, it's not wiggling back and forth. You want to feel as if you're pulling your leg up from the lower region of that soft tissue. Inhale and exhale. Can you have the sense of stabilizing in a neutral spine? As you're doing this, if you feel any sense that the leg is working more than those core muscles, then I want you to stop. But if you can keep this region working about 70%, maybe 30% here, then I want you to keep going. Now, if you need to, you can pause the video and take a small break. If not, we're going to do the same thing, exhaling one leg up, but then exhale the other leg up to meet it into tabletop. We're going to now do our toe taps. So we inhale down and we exhale to return. As you inhale the leg away, make sure that your rib cage does not pop up off the mat. So we don't want this to happen or the pelvis to move. We want to stabilize, keeping the lower part of your ribs in the back in contact with the mat. Notice on the breath, we can still inhale and expand, and we can still pull in on that exhale. And again. If you feel a little shaky, like you might be out of a little control on this, that's all right. It means you're really working those core muscles. Relax the neck. Stabilize. Again, if the legs are overworking or you start feeling this in the low back, you can pause and stop. You don't have to do as many repetitions as I'm doing now. You can also imprint the spine a little bit to help support the low back a little bit more if you need to. And let's finish up here. Let's keep our legs in a tabletop position if we can, bringing our arms out to the side. We're going to rotate the legs by lifting the left hip off the mat, keeping our left shoulder in contact with the floor, and then pulling in with our side waist abdominals. And we do that again, lifting off. And exhaling with those side waist muscles to bring the legs back. Inhale again. Feel that stretch of the low back. And then we are pulling back in. Your range of motion is key here. It can be very small to very broad. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, you can do sort of a bent L position. Or if you have the flexibility, you can straighten the legs all the way up. We just want to make sure that our legs are staying together and one isn't higher than the other. So you can kind of just take a peek at your toes or your knees and make sure that one isn't higher than the other. Inhale. And exhale back. Go ahead and bring the legs down. And this is a good place to go ahead and widen the legs wide. And we're going to take a rotation inward. So we're going to rotate, stretching out that vastus lateralis, the TFL is working. We're rotating in to our range of motion, pulling the knee down towards the floor. Don't be afraid to lift the hip a little bit. Some people feel a stretch in the back, some in the hip, some through the outer quadricep muscles. If you feel any knee pain with this at all, you can go ahead and stop or adjust your range of motion. So we're just getting a nice mobile stretch here, trying to open up those hips. And relax with the last one. All right. We're going to go ahead and sit up now, and I have a ball with me. So this is one of those big resistance balls, and we're going to place our legs on top of it. If you want a challenge, you're going to have your heels on the center of the ball. If you need a little less work, then you're going to put your calves fully on the ball. The closer the ball is in towards you, the easier this exercise is going to be. So go ahead and lie down. I'll try to get the ball in the frame. And we're going to have that nice and extended. We're going to get into a parallel position here. And I want you to reach your arms long, opening up the chest with your triceps and arms pressing into the mat. When you raise the hips, which we'll do in a moment, I want you to squeeze the glutes rather than just lifting and keeping them relaxed, because then we have too much hamstring work, and bikers already have very strong hamstrings, so we don't really want to work the glutes, particularly the gluteus maximus. So we're going to inhale deep breath, and we're going to exhale, raise the hips off the mat, squeezing the glutes. Inhale to return, and exhale, raise up. Inhale, return, and exhale, raise up. If you feel this in your hamstrings at all, try to actually flex the feet. So you're digging your heels down into the mat or down into the ball. Squeezing the glutes. This is also great work for stability of the hips and the torso. As you may find, there's a little wiggle going on. Your body tries to balance and work. So we want to hit about 6 to 10 of these. You can work up to more. And then we're going to turn out the legs slightly into Pilates V. So just a very slight turn out of the legs. So your feet are in a V position, the legs are following, and we're squeezing. Now you may feel that with the squeeze of those glutes, you're going to get a little bit higher. And that should be the case because the hips are in a more open position here. Okay? You'll feel a shift in the muscles that you're working. You're working gluteal muscles, the deep rotators. Now, certainly, some people are stronger in their gluteal muscles on the outside, and some are more strong in your gluteus maximus. So you can kind of play around with how many you do in each of the foot positions. If you already feel like you're rather strong in the turned out position, you can do more in the parallel position, or vice versa. And let's try one more. And we're going to lower down. Now, the next thing I want you to do, if your ball is not too high off the floor, mine is a rather small ball, so I want you to sit up and you can walk yourself up and place your hands behind you. This is going to give you a very nice hamstring stretch. If it's too much, you can certainly do one leg at a time. You can flex and point the foot just to really feel like you're lengthening that hamstring out all the way through the heel. So we do that 8 to 10 times. We can switch our legs. If we're doing a single leg, you can take this opportunity too to really expand the chest. If this is too hard to sit up in that position, you can certainly come down onto your forearms. That's another option. And you're just flexing and pointing there. You can also use this particular position to open up the chest. You don't want to kind of dump into the shoulders like this and just let them go. Good. Once you have that, I want you to come up onto your knees. So obviously if you need to have a towel with you to put under your head for your abdominal work, you can do so. In this case, if there's too much flexion in your knee, you can put another mat underneath your legs. That will cut down on the flexion when you sit down. You can also put towels or a mat underneath your kneecaps as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to get on all fours and we're going to keep our hands not so much right on top, but almost slightly on the sides of this ball. And what we're going to do is we're going to reach out and stretch so that we're stretching out our lats. And then we're going to come up and round the back. And we're going to reach out, trying to get into almost a little bit of extension. Notice that my head is right there by the ball. If I need to rest my head a little bit and hold that position a little bit, that's just fine. And then I'm going to come up and reach out. You're really feeling this stretch. Ideally, we want to get to a point where we can actually rest our head down into our arms a little bit to really open up the chest, the arms, the lats, the triceps, and then curl up. Use that curl as an abdominal exercise. So we inhale out and then we exhale up. Reach out and back up. And reach out and back up. One more. And we'll finish there. Next, you're going to come into a kneeling position here. So again, if you need to roll up a mat or a towel and put it underneath your legs so that your knees aren't as flexed as mine are right now, that's just fine. We're going to bring our ball next to us and we're going to get a side waist bend. So we're going to reach up and over and then exhale to come up. Again, we're stretching the side waist muscles, trying to reach our hip down into the ground, that opposite hip, yes, reach it in opposition and come up. The arm that is on the ball, you want to feel like, especially as you come up, that you're suctioning your armpit up and in as you press into the ball. So you can do 4 to 8 of those. And then we're going to move into a reach. So we're going to rotate the body, open back up, and come all the way up. And over, and rotate, and open, and back up. And again, over, and rotate, open, and back up. One more time, over, rotate, open, and back up. All right, now we've gotten, even without weights, a little bit of shoulder work with that. I will also say that this is a rather small ball, so yours might be bigger and you might actually have to kneel standing on your ball, and that's perfectly fine. We're going to go to the other side. If this is too hard to sit and kneel on the floor, you can sit on a couch and do this with the ball next to you. So you can just be sitting down, really sitting tall with your feet on the ground and get the same sort of stretch. So again, the other side, we're going to reach up and over and exhale up. This is our mermaid in Pilates, and reach, and again, feels so good to open up that side waist. And last one. Now we're going to go into our rotation. We reach, we rotate forward, we open up and come straight up and over and reach, open and come straight up. If your lats are very tight, you will probably not feel a stretch into the low back. You will probably just feel it right there in that lats, right through your mid back. But eventually, as those start opening up, you'll start feeling a stretch in the quadriceps area. I'm going to show you an exercise now that's going to be for our glutes and the top of our hamstring. So the idea is to find some sort of platform that you can get on. This could be your bed in your bedroom. It could be the edge of a couch. So you might like lean over the side end of your couch. That's perfectly fine. The issue with the couch is that it's not flat, so you will be kind of up in the air a little bit. You also want to be able to grab onto something that you lay down on, whether that be the sheets or the end of the couch cushion, something. But we want to have the crease of our hips right at the end so our legs are really falling down towards the floor, okay? Go ahead and grab onto something, if you can hold on, with the shoulders back and down and the neck in neutral. We're going to keep the feet flexed and we're going to raise up one leg without bending the knee, and then we're going to lower down. And we're going to repeat this on the other leg. And the hardest part of this is to not bend the knee. And that's why we're flexing the foot, so we can keep that calf muscle, those calf muscles long, and not engage them to help lift the leg. We want to really focus on the glute here. We're working on leg extension, not so much back extension. And we raise one at a time, yes. You want to do about 6 to 10 on each leg. You could absolutely add ankle weights if you have them at home. The other way to get a little bit more work out of this would be to go to double leg, but you have to really hold on to something. Now we might start working the low back a little bit. You just don't want to work this before you're ready, before you're strong. If you're working both legs, you want to really pull navel to spine a little bit to protect the spine as you lift. Okay, once you have that done, you're going to turn out into Pilates V again, and we're going to do single leg and turn out. Again, working different muscles, reaching that leg back. So you're really reaching that heel out and away as you lift it. Out and away as you lift it. Can really help extend those hip flexors in a different way. The beauty of this is that it actually stretches out your low back a little bit. And you just keep working there. And again, if you're ready to go into double leg, you can go into double leg. If you're not, I don't recommend it. Just take your time building up to that work. And then when you finish, you can go into a cat and cow stretch. Not so much on your knees, but just leaning over that edge of the couch. So you're finding somewhere to put your hands. You're going to arch the back. This is your cow. And then we're going to arch in the opposite direction, which is your cat. We go into extension of the spine and then flexion of the spine. You're moving through this slowly as you breathe. You exhale, pull your abdominals in. Inhale and exhale. If you're a biker, this action is going to be a little bit harder to get that extension of the back. So the next series we're going to get back down on the mat, and we're going to do our 5 series. So this starts out with single leg stretch. I'm going to give you little breaks in between each exercise. So we'll start by lying down on the mat, flat. We're going to bring our right leg up towards our chest, place our left hand just under the knee, and then lift up to place our right hand underneath, right at the right ankle. The other leg is on a diagonal. It does not have to be low to the ground. It can be slightly lifted in order to support the low back. We are lifting from our upper abdominals so we don't feel tension in the neck. We're not lifting from here, but from those upper abdominals. We're pulling in, keeping the leg in parallel, and then switching. Exhale. Inhale, exhale, pull. As you switch and pull in, you're pulling in with the back muscles rather than the biceps. Even though you are stretching this leg this long, you don't want to feel like it just is floppy and loosey-goosey. You need to have control of it, and no one should be able to push that down. And again, switch. Remember to take deep breaths through the back of your lungs. Keep lifting up. So anywhere from 6 to 10 of those, you can pull your knees in and lower down. If you have any neck tension, take the time to just let your head release side to side. The next exercise is called double leg stretch. So you're going to lift up. You're pulling both knees in towards your chest. On the inhale, you're going to stretch out your legs and your arms, circle around, and pull back in. Again, 6 to 10 of these. 3. The lower the legs, the more abdominal work you're going to have, but you have to keep the integrity of that shape. If your low back starts hurting because your legs are too low, just bring them up a little higher. And then you're going to lower down. Same thing, we can take the time to release our head, release our hips, release the neck, however we see fit. Now we're going to go into single leg, straight leg stretch. Now this might be challenging for you. Ideally, we want to grab the leg up towards the ankle, but we could also grab here, and we can also grab here if we're really tight in our hamstrings. It's okay if the leg is bent, but we're working on stretching that leg as much as we can. So just like single leg stretch, we're going to lengthen our legs out on these diagonals. We're lifting up, we're holding wherever we prefer, and we pulse in twice. Inhale, inhale, switch, exhale. Inhale, inhale, switch, exhale. You can add a flexed foot in the one up top and a pointed foot on the leg that's moving away from you. And that adds another coordination, exercise, and focus to it. And then bend in, lower down. So that's 3 of the 5 that we've completed, and now we're going to go into crisscross. Now with crisscross, we want to make sure that we place our hands behind the head, and our elbows don't have to be fully out to the side. They can be slightly turned inwards. We should see our elbows in our peripheral vision. We are going to bring our legs to tabletop. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale to lift off the mat. On the exhale, we are going to lift one shoulder off the mat and bring the other knee in. And exhale, switch. Inhale, exhale, switch. So we're getting this nice rotation. It's not about going as far as you can and being off center. You want to feel like you're lifting upward more than you're rotating. And the shoulder blade comes off. And the shoulder blade comes off. And you're in control. Your pelvis is nice and stable. And switch. And switch. And switch. Think upward. And switch. And switch. And bring the legs in and lower down. Now, as you get stronger in this series, you're going to be able to do more in a row. So you might be able to do the first 2 exercises, then take a break, or 3 exercises, then take a break. And eventually you'll be able to do all 5 straight in a row. So let's go into double straight leg stretch. There are a couple ways to do this. You can keep your head down. That means your range of motion is going to be smaller. Or you can bring your head up. So we're going to do head up to start. Remember, the elbows can be slightly forward. We straighten the legs as much as we can, even if they're slightly bent, that's okay. And we're going to move the legs away from us and bring them back up. Move the legs away and back up. We don't want to feel tension in here. We want to feel like those low belly muscles are really working. What do I mean by low belly? I mean the lower portion of your rectus abdominis, your obliques, and your transverse abdominis. We're going to do one more and lower down and bend. Now that really got the abdominals working. So we're going to roll over onto our belly and do a little bit of extension work. So here, we're going to lie down on the mat with our legs slightly turned out. Hands are just in front of the shoulders, and we want to make sure that our elbows are down. We don't want them way up here, okay? So we have that rotation here. So we are going to be looking down towards the mat. On the inhale, I want you to lift up with the sternum. Elbows stay relaxed and pull back slightly, and then we nod forward and come down. We inhale, we expand the chest, and we exhale down. If you're pushing up with your arms and you're not really using the back muscles like you should, you're just getting a stretch. I like to think of shoulders down and back, chest open, and really reaching the crown of my head away from my tailbone. Inhale. Inhale. So we do 6 to 10 of these. And then let's go ahead and lift up, and we're going to hold this position. I want you to bring your hands next to your side, and I want you to reach out and pull back. Reach out and pull back. You might not be able to make the arms straight completely. They may have to stay a little softened. That's all right. Inhale and then pull back. As you're doing this, I want you to pull navel to spine to just protect that low back. And again, pull back. 2 more. And last one. And lower down and relax. Last one, we're going to bring our hands behind us. Our palms are down, flat towards the mat. Shoulders are opened up. We're going to inhale to lift up, and we're going to slide the body to the left, back to center, slide the body to the right, and back to center. This is not a tilt to one side or the other. It's a slide. So we're staying lifted in the same amount of space, and it's just gliding back and forth. You should feel this in your low back on the right side when you're going right, and on the left side when you're going left. Right in that quadratus lumborum area. Those are the primary movers in this exercise. Pull navel to spine to help protect the low back. And lower down. From here, if it's possible, I want you to come into a child's pose. You might be up like this, and that's okay, but we are trying to sit back as much as we can, just lengthening that out. Don't be afraid to kind of move around in this position so you can feel a stretch in all angles. Rolling up nice and tall. Very good. Okay, this next exercise is an exercise called open book. And you will need some sort of pillow or towel that you can put underneath your head. I'm using a deflated ball. And you're going to place that underneath your head. And you're going to bring your underarm straight out in front of you. Your legs are stacked one on top of the other. And what you're going to do is you're going to open up the arm wide while keeping the hips stacked one on top of each other. So you're getting this rotation of the thoracic spine and this big reach of the arm. You're opening up. Get my hair out of my face. And then closing back in. And you can let the head follow a little bit if you would like. It only feels natural, really reaching the arm and then coming back. And we do 4 to 8 of these depending on how much time you have. And 2 more for today. And again. I love when I do that and suddenly there's some little adjustments that start happening, little pops I feel in my spine, my back, just really nice. From here, what I want you to do is come onto your back so you can have that pillow still underneath your head if you need the support. And you're going to straighten the leg that was the bottom leg of what you just worked. You're going to pull the opposite knee over and across the body. So you're getting this big opening in the chest and the torso. We're really getting the same rotation, but here we're getting a little bit more stretch in the low back than what we had in the opposite exercise. So the opposite arm is reaching out, palm is up, and we can place our hand here to give ourselves a little pull, a little stretch. And then you're ready to sit up and repeat on the other side. So let's go ahead and rotate. If you're at home, you can just turn over. We'll try it here. So our bottom arm is straight out. Our hips are stacked in that bent position, 90-degree angle. And we're going to open up the top arm and reach. And then we're going to come back. Good. Open up. And return. And open up. And it's always really nice to inhale on the stretch, because that is what's happening on the inhale. Your muscle fibers are actually opening up on a microscopic level, and they contract on the exhale. Good. And one more. And back again. And then you can go ahead and lie on your back. And the leg that was underneath you can go straight. The opposite arm can go palm up out to the side. Bring your leg up and across. Now you're getting a nice rotation on the other side. You may feel a nice pull in the back. Take some deep breaths. Enough. Now we're going to stand up, and I want to just really open up the chest. So we're going to do a couple stretches. You can find in a doorway in your house to do these in. So you're going to start off with one arm, and we're going to do a higher chest stretch. So this is going to get the pectoral muscles. You put your hand in relatively a 90-degree position. Go ahead and play with coming up a few inches or down a few inches, because you might find that when you twist and you get that stretch, that up higher gets it a little bit more, or down lower gets a little bit more. So don't be afraid to experiment, and you're just going to turn away from that arm and lean into things there. If you're in a doorway, you could also do both arms at the same time, but I like to do one at a time and just really breathe through that. So we're going to hold that for about 20 to 30 seconds. And then we're going to reverse it. We're going to turn the other way and rotate. Feel that big stretch. Don't be afraid to look in the opposite direction or away from that arm. Kind of lean in a little bit. If you feel it, release. All right, so that's a nice way to open up the pectoral muscles. We can also look into opening up the bicep and also the shoulder. So one great stretch is to connect your hands if possible. And for some people, just being able to connect their hands and kind of lift their sternum up is going to give them the stretch that they need. Some people are going to actually be able to lean over or bend forward and raise those arms up towards the ceiling. So if you're able to do that, you want to really just let them hang and pull as far as they can. It's okay if they're much lower than mine are, but we're just getting that front of the shoulder opened up. I like to kind of lean to one side and then the other. So that helps me stretch out that shoulder, front of the shoulder a little bit more. And then you can open up the collarbone a little bit more. And feel free to shoulder roll if you need to. Another great stretch you can do for the biceps is to make a C with your hand. Keep the arms straight, and it's going to look just like we did with the chest stretch. We're going to turn away from that arm, and as we pull and get that stretch, we'll feel it in the bicep and or just the forearm. So that usually will go all the way down the arm. My forearms today are a little tighter than my biceps are, so that's where I'm feeling it in particular. But there are some days where I've had a good bicep workout and I feel it a little bit more in the bicep. So again, we can look away from that arm a little bit more. That sometimes helps get a deeper stretch. And then you're going to release that. You can shake it out, get that blood flow back to the fingers, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're making a C shape with your thumb and your pointer finger with all your hand, but you're putting the wall up against your thumb and pointer finger with the arms straight, and you're turning away. And then again, you can slide it up or down, kind of find the place where you feel the most stretch. Don't forget to breathe through these stretches. And then you can relax and release. Okay. The next stretch, you may or may not have done this. This is This is a stretch for the hip flexor. I know a lot of my clients, I have had them do this in our studio, and it's an active stretch for your psoas major. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pull one knee up towards your chest. You're gonna place that foot behind you. You're gonna internally rotate the femur bone and everything down below it, okay? So you're kind of internally rotating that leg, okay? And I'm actually holding on to the wrong side. Normally I would be facing the other way. So what I want to actually do is reach away from that leg that's behind me. So you're feeling this nice giant stretch. You can play with moving around a little bit if that's possible. In and out of that stretch, you can open up. You can rotate forward, open up. Sometimes you may have to tilt the hips under a little bit in order to get a little bit more stretch. And then you're going to come up and repeat. Do the same thing, and then you'll repeat it on the other side. Pulling in, bringing the leg back, turning inward, tilt the pelvis under. You're going to reach, move around a little bit, opening up and rotating forward. Just really finding the place where you can move and feel good in that stretch. And you can really, it's up to you. You can do once on each leg and then repeat, or you can do it 2 or 3 times on one leg and then move to the other leg. It's completely up to you. So I want to give you one last stretch for this routine, and just keep in mind that you can use your massage balls to do any release before you have any sort of stretching. So in this particular exercise stretch, we're going to be stretching out your your quads. And so you can remember that if you need a little release in your semitendinosus, if you need a little release midway down, you can certainly do that. There are trigger points along the quads that can be released before you get into your stretch. So I have a strap here that has loops that you can put a foot in, but if you have a very long strap that you can just kind of work around your foot, that would be ideal. The other thing you can do is you can place a small towel or a ball underneath the leg that you're stretching. So like right underneath the knee, that's where you can put it on. So you can see that I'm pretty flexible. I can give myself a little pull here, or I can even take this strap and put it over my shoulder and give it a little pull and reach. And I'm getting a stretch not only through the hip flexor, but through that quad. And it's nice to be able to lay down and keep my hips down and feel this stretch. You may not be able to go as far, it's just fine. But this is a really nice way to be able to stretch that quad. So you always want to make sure that you're in a place where it's not stretching the knee itself, you're not feeling any unwanted pulling. I'm moving the leg around a little bit, in and out, so I can feel where I feel more stretch. You can even turn the leg in and out a little bit and feel the difference. And then you can certainly stay in a place where you feel like you need it more. And then we're going to release that side. And then you're just going to take that strap and place it on the other foot. Okay, so same thing here. I'm going to reach this strap over my shoulder in order to get that knee off the ground if possible. Sometimes it won't come off the ground, and that's just fine. We're getting a nice stretch through here. We're trying to breathe through it. I usually try to hold the stretch in place for a little while until those muscles start to relax a little bit more, and then I start playing with a little bit of movement. So now I'm bringing just sliding the knee from side to side, feeling where I have tension in that leg. I feel in turnout today that I'm a little tighter. So my vastus medialis, the quadricep muscle that runs on the inside of my leg, the inside top, is a little bit more sore, and so I need to stretch that a little bit more today. It's not always the case. It just depends on how I've worked that muscle recently. Okay, after you do that stretch, you can certainly go into a child's pose. Just wiggle that out.